Surveillance and identity, the intersection of concepts. The notion of security and surveillance in regards to new media and technology is one that is well researched and documented. The manner and rapidity of how it has developed has revolutionized both the way in which we engage and access various medium formats. I am confident in stating that we live in a world in which surveillance techniques as to its usage of monitoring data is more prevalent than ever before. A theory that is often associated in regards to the methodology of surveillance is that of the panopticon, a structure originally designed by Jeremy Bentham in the 18th century and used in prison environments. The original structure model was created with the intention of optimizing prisoner observation. The result produced the possibility that at any time the prisoners knew that they may be being observed, therefore encouraging prisoners to always be on their best behavior. Sort of like the associated concepts of modern surveillance society practices today. This particular idea of surveillance was later theorized as panopticism by French philosopher Michel Foucault, in which the concept, as explained by Gilbert Kaluuya in his analysis, quote, "The Post-Panoptic Society, Reassessing Foucault in Surveillance Studies," end quote, as indicating something abstracted from the panopticon rather than the panopticon itself. We can perceive from this example that the technique behind that of the panopticon is still relevant today, with a variety of new electronic surveillance methods replacing their original physical forms. The underlying concept remains highly viable in our current surveillance-dominated society. It is not difficult to contemplate the notion that they can see us, but we remain unsure because we cannot see them. When one considers the term surveillance, it commonly conjures up images of security cameras, closed-circuit television, and federal police watching and catching the bad guys. However, I wish to consider an alternate view of the surveillance model as a concept, as the intersection of surveillance and identity. With the development and technological innovation via the use of the internet and various devices, information is easily accessible. We increase our online activity and endeavor to keep track of such things as current events, the latest trends, friends and family, etc. A number of surveillance systems are integrated into this online activity as a means of various organizations to observe and scrutinize us. Subsequently, surveillance is often linked with different arrangements of data collection and therefore dataveillance. The concept of dataveillance as defined by Lemmy Baru and Levin Soisel as, quote, "the application of information technologies to monitor individuals' activities by investigating the data trail they leave through their activities," end quote. Now so far all this information gives surveillance somewhat of a pretty negative reputation. And what does this dataveillance have to do with the notion of identity? Well, it is the connection of these two systems and how they interplay with each other that combine these two concepts. The use of identity construction and adaptation via online media can allow for a number of positive outcomes for individuals. As discussed in the article, quote, "Young People's Narratives of Media and Identity," end quote, by Daniel Schofield and Reijo Kupainen, is explained as, quote, "Many everyday routines and rituals are developed alongside media use, and at the same time the media provides material for negotiating and defining social identities." With all the monitoring and registration required procedures to access various sites and applications, there actually exists a reverse role for the user which allows them to take an active role in seeking opportunities that empower them. As theorized by Anders Ulbrichtslund in, quote, "Online Social Networking as Participatory Surveillance," end quote, the presence of surveillance, quote, "online therefore illustrates that surveillance is a mutual, empowering, and subjectively building practice," end quote. The practice of online social networking can therefore be seen as empowering, as it is a way to voluntarily engage with other people and construct identities. Further paraphrasing Ulbrichtslund's article, it is of importance that as users we do not automatically assume that the engagement and participation in the exchange of information and data is solely based on a commodity for surveillance. While in some respects the practices of surveillance may be undesirable, to participate is to understand that the act of sharing yourself and constructed identity with others has both risks and benefits. Therefore, the existence of identity and the involvement in surveillance cross paths in many instances, influencing and changing each other. Thank you for listening. I hope you somewhat enjoyed my first ever online video presentation.